everybody, this is Tom, and a massive channel here on YouTube called Wendover Productions just posted an extremely critical video of Tesla titled How Tesla Has Fumbled.
For the better part of a decade now, it's sold consumers on the promise, failed to deliver, made new promises, failed to deliver, and repeat and repeat and repeat.
20 minutes worth of some of the most harsh accusations I've heard about Tesla in a while.
The reputation Tesla has earned as a company whose word means nothing has to have an impact.
I'm gonna take it apart like a cheap cushion coming apart at the seams in this video, but I'm gonna avoid personal attacks. I'm not gonna be cursing. I'm not gonna be angry. No ad hominem attacks. Just data versus the claims. That's it. If you want to check it out, stay with me for the duration of this video, and let's get started.
Tesla has never been good at building cars.
Now for me, this is one of the weakest arguments, and it's really strange that they chose to start the video with it because there's not a lot of supporting evidence, some empirical data that shows that what they're saying is actually true.
Complaints about Model S's with windows that leak when it rains or mispositioned wire looms, and Model X's with drooping window seals or mysterious rattles when reaching speed have become commonplace. Scroll YouTube's results for Tesla build quality, and the search will populate far more videos offering negative feedback than positive. Or take this poll on Tesla's subreddit, where a majority of all respondents reported at least minor or cosmetic issues with their vehicle.
I mean, what are you relying on by saying it? A few scrolls on YouTube, a research that's based on a Reddit poll with 1,000 people, Elon saying that they had quality issues when they started ramping up 5 years ago in 2018. I mean, where's the empirical data?
You can take it from the man himself, Elon Musk, who admitted that the company's build quality waned when production ramped up.
Elon did say this, and when you start ramping up, usually you have quality issues. That was 5 years ago. How about some actual data from right now?
The company simply struggles to deliver consistent, reliable, well-assembled vehicles. It's been a problem since the beginning, it's been a problem the company has sought to address time and time again, and it's been a problem that's taken different forms over the years. For perhaps the most objective stance of all, there's the Consumer Reports annual reliability rankings, where Tesla placed second to last in 2021 and 19th out of 24 manufacturers in 2022.
Now this is where I gotta push back a little bit. I mean, saying that Consumer Reports is the most objective way to look at this is a little bit ridiculous, given the mountains of data that you can go and find about the relationship between Consumer Reports and Ford and GM, and about the very long combative history between Consumer Reports and Tesla. All of this has been discussed in abundance, and it's weird that they kind of present Consumer Reports as the epitome of objectivity as far as Tesla, but let's stay with Consumer Reports as you wish. Now, in this video, they're showing you 2020 data from Consumer Reports, 2021 data from Consumer Reports, but guess what? The video was posted a few days ago. We already have 2022 data. We have it since November 2022. Why was this data not shown? I don't know why they actually omitted 2022 numbers when they were publicly available. I can guesstimate that maybe it's because it disproved a lot of their claims, but I honestly don't know. Nevertheless, even Consumer Reports, which is known to be a little bit anti-Tesla, let's put it mildly, actually came out in November 2022 and did an updated study on reliability. They took 24 brands, 300,000 cars, and they checked it. And the conclusions are very clear. For 2022, Tesla and Nissan are the best as far as reliability out of all EVs. So as far as EVs go, Tesla is right at the top. But what about the rest of the industry? It must be probably one of the worst. Well, not really. Tesla scored pretty average, and in fact, none of Tesla vehicles are anywhere close to the bottom 10 in any category. So based on Consumer Reports, at least this is completely debunked. Tesla may not be the best at quality, but they're definitely not anywhere close to being the worst. And as far as EVs go, they're absolutely at the top as far as quality and reliability.
If Tesla is bad at building cars, then they're at best hit or miss when it comes to delivering them. Some of those who were once happy to wait showed up at delivery centers for their new Model 3. Others went to Twitter searching for answers when they couldn't get through to anyone at Tesla.
Now in this part, they're saying that Tesla is not only bad at building cars, they're equally as bad at delivering them. Of course, talking about things that happened in 2018, showing Twitter posts from 2018, where in fact right now we're in 2023, and there's publicly available data proving that this is a bunch of horse manure. Now, right now, the average wait time for a Tesla in the US is 30 to 60 days. That's it. In fact, the backlog from February 2022 to February 2023 have shrunk from 400,000 vehicles to 100,000 vehicles. Tesla has not only gotten better, 4 times better at delivering cars. In fact, the current wait time of 30 to 60 days is probably one of the best we had. But of course, if you want to show a different picture, you show 4-year-old data.
The company only established 163 service centers spread across the US.
Now, this claim is actually somewhat on point. What they're talking about is a very painful topic to a lot of Tesla owners. There's not enough service centers in the US, 100%.
If you live in Wichita, Kansas, your nearest options are all a state border and a 2-hour drive away.
There's a lot of states who forbid Tesla from opening centers of service in their state because the law says that only the dealership can do that. The manufacturer is not allowed to open its own service center. They're doing it because this archaic old rules who are designed to protect dealerships prevent Tesla from actually providing services in those states. So it's a regulatory problem that needs to be addressed. It's not a Tesla problem.
So the company is burning through their existing customers, the group most likely to buy future Teslas, which is certainly a problem.
Now this segment sounds extremely logical, right? If Tesla is making bad cars, and if Tesla can't deliver these cars on time, it's losing its customer base. Very logical. Only problem is that Tesla is not building bad cars. Only problem is that Tesla is not having trouble delivering the cars. Only problem is that Tesla is not losing customers. In fact, it's growing customers. In 2022, the growth in Tesla sales was above 50%. If Tesla was making bad cars, that would have never been the case. In fact, if you compare quarterly sales at the final quarter of 2019, just 3 years ago, to the quarterly sales in Q4 2022, the sales went up from 100,000 cars in a quarter to 400,000 cars in a quarter. So Tesla quadrupled the amount of quarterly cars from 2019 to 2022. It's a little bit of a misleading thing to assume when numbers are literally telling you that Tesla is growing at a massive pace. So where this conclusion is coming from, I honestly don't understand because the data simply proves otherwise.
Compare a Model Y long range to a Mustang Mach-E Premium, and it has slightly better acceleration, slightly longer range, but a slightly higher price. As far as distinguishable differences go, there are few.
Now, this is my favorite segment so far. They're comparing the Tesla Model Y to the Ford Mach-E, and this is a little bit like comparing a spaceship to a potato. It's not the right comparison, but let's do it. Now, they do stipulate that Tesla has better performance and better capacity of battery, better performance of speed, whatnot, whatever, right? But they say, hey, look, it's close enough, and the Ford Mach-E is still a cheaper car. Well, that's just factually incorrect, and I'm shocked that they haven't done the research because let's compare apples to apples. Let's look at the numbers. Following the price drop, the Model Y long range is $55,000. They did this to meet the EV tax credit. Now, the Ford Mach-E comparable model, which is the premium all-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, is $62,500. It's more expensive than the Model Y long range. Not to mention that Tesla has better software, better utility, and a supercharging network.
It's a similar story upmarket with the Model S. The Lucid Air nearly matches on acceleration, beats it on range, and is close enough in price that few in this market segment would bat an eye.
Now this part is just comical. They're comparing the Model S to the Lucid Air, basically saying, look, the Lucid Air is comparable, probably even better, and it's cheaper. It starts at $90,000. The Model S is a $105,000 car. But here's the kicker. Ask yourself one simple question. Why Lucid has manufacturing capacity of 7,000 vehicles in 2022, but it only sold 4,400 vehicles? Why? Why was there not enough demand for this magnificent vehicle that's so much better than the Model S and even cheaper? Well, it's because it's not really cheaper. Because the actual price of these Lucid cars starts at $90,000, but then it goes all the way up to $250,000 for the premium version. At the end of the day, when you compare that best premium version of Lucid at $250,000 to the $140,000 of the Model S Plaid, this thing is literally half the price. It has better software, better full self-driving, better supercharging network, all the stuff we talked about. In fact, better engineering. So who in his right mind would buy the Lucid Air at double the price of the Model S Plaid? In fact, I assume that anybody who must have bought this car has 2 holes drilled in the roof of the Lucid Air for the ears, the donkey ears, because anybody who's done that is a full-fledged donkey.
Tesla is bested by Chevrolet, whose base model Bolt EV starts for some $15,000 less than the base Model 3, while coming close on many specs.
Well, this part might be the most egregious of them all, even worse than Lucid. They're actually bringing up the Chevy Bolt. Now, look, I'm not a hater of the Chevy Bolt, but ask yourself this simple question. Why does this beautiful, yummy $15,000 car, such a great price, so quality, so value, only sold 40,000 cars in 2022? Well, it might have something to do with the fact that in 2021, they recalled every single Chevy Bolt made because it literally had a problem of spontaneously catching fire, allegedly. Now, I don't know what about you, but even at $15,000, I don't know if I wanted to sit in a car that, had that in its history. So now that's just a joke, obviously, but more on this serious topic. Look, even at $15,000, it's just not good enough of a car. Not enough feature, not enough utility. It doesn't have the software, no supercharging. I mean, it's just a really poor, very basic, bare bones offering nobody really wants in the US.
While unique in their minimalistic design, the broad strokes of Tesla's product lineup is uniquely basic. Mid-market sedan, mid-market SUV, upmarket sedan, upmarket SUV.
What are you really saying here? That their cars are too boring? A sedan and a premium sedan, and SUV, what? I mean, look, people obviously like it. They sold 1.3 million last year. Based on Q4 numbers, they're en route to sell 2 million cars in 2023. Obviously, people are okay with the design. What's your point? Not to mention the fact that this is the brilliance of Tesla, the simplicity of it. Look, standardized vehicles, only 4 real vehicles, really only 2 real vehicles, the Model 3 and the Model Y, in massive scale. Cheaper production, faster ramp up, cheaper maintenance, way more data, and you're preparing yourself for the robotaxi network.
Year after year after year, it's never been a surprise who will top the list of American vehicle sales. It's the Ford F-Series. It's always the Ford F-Series.
Now, I have to give them credit here because this segment is on point. The truck segment in the US is the best category for every auto manufacturer, and it is absolutely dominated by the F-150, which is an incredible car, by the way. Now, Tesla's not in it. They're missing out on a lot of potential profit. He's right. But here's where the kicker is. Tesla is a brand new company. It's ramping up. What do you expect them to make 57 different models in 5 years? They have to pick their poison. The Semi, the Model S, the Model 3, the Roadster. I can do all day. Cybertruck. I mean, there's only so much they can do in 5 years.
Ford announced they just built an electric version of the F-150. 3 years after that, it entered production. And today, there are thousands of F-150 Lightnings on the road and exactly 0 Tesla pickups.
And yes, Ford sold 15,000 units of the F-150. True, good for them. But just 5 days ago, this article came out talking about Ford stopping sales completely until they can figure out why batteries on the F-150 Lightning are catching fire. This is what happens when you push out a product too fast before it's finished just to be the first in the market. That's exactly what did not happen to Tesla.
The F-150 was merely joining a market already kicked off by the Hummer EV and Rivian R1T, meaning there are 3 manufacturers already in production working out the kinks, ramping up to massive scale in 2023.
How massive is the ramp up? Well, GMC Hummers are about 850 units in 2022. Rivian has done a little bit of a better job with 24,000 units, hardly a massive ramp up. And I'm just going to leave you with this funny video of a GMC Hummer being charged from 49% to full, and you're going to absolutely love it.
The new GMC Hummer EV truck is the quickest charging vehicle on the market right now. Level 1 charging, 120 volt using the Hummer cable. Right now it's about 6 p.m. on Tuesday, and it says it'll be full by Saturday at 10:55, which is 4+ days of charging.
That's BYD. No company globally produces more EVs. They are now bigger than Tesla from a volume perspective.
Now in this part, we're seeing a manifestation of this recent trend on YouTube of hyping up BYD. Now, don't get me wrong, BYD is a fine company, but the information is absolutely misleading. It's factually incorrect. They're talking about BYD being the biggest EV producer in the world, which is just plain wrong. BYD produced 900,000 electric vehicles in 2022. That's way less, according to my math, versus the 1.3 million of Tesla. So that doesn't put them as number one. I'm sorry. I think what they're talking about is that BYD also produced 950,000 hybrids at the same year. Now, if you combine hybrids and electric vehicles and you lump it up together, then Toyota, which absolutely is not in the EV game, is now becoming the world's #1 EV producer. See how ridiculous that is to include hybrids in these statistics? So no, BYD isn't the world's largest producers of electric vehicles. By any stretch of the imagination, they're good company, but that's definitely false.
China is just such an immense market that there are equivalent quality alternatives to Western products that are better suited to the needs and wants of Chinese consumers, which leave Western managers dumbfounded. So in Tesla's case, inevitably, their vehicles are going to be worse for Chinese consumers than the homegrown alternatives, and unless they succeed where almost all their equivalents have failed, they just won't be able to understand why.
Now, this segment logically makes sense because they're saying, well, look, Chinese manufacturers are really good and they know what the Chinese public wants, so Tesla would never be able to compete with it. Only problem is, data again proves otherwise. In January 6th, Tesla dropped prices on its offering in China. Guess what happened? On February 3rd, the Chinese Passenger Car Association, the CPCA, actually showed that Tesla sold 66,000 China-made vehicles in January, a 10.4% increase compared to a year ago, and an 18.4% increase compared to December 2022. And these numbers do not include exports. It's just pure Chinese-made and sold vehicles locally in China. And by the way, in January, Tesla went up in market share as far as the Chinese market from 6% December to 8.5% January. That's a 2.5% market share rise in the month. Tesla does not need 60% market dominance like it has in the US and will have for a while. It doesn't need that. It needs about 10% of the Chinese market to be just fine.
In 2016, after being dropped by its previous autonomous partner over safety concerns, Tesla charted a new vision for full self-driving and quickly started selling a software package referred to as full self-driving for $3,000 soon after.
Now, this part is really annoying because this is literally a misleading way to put what happened. They're talking about the split in 2016 between Mobileye and Tesla, and they're saying that Mobileye dumped Tesla because of safety concerns. Now, look, you can call it safety concerns, but it's very misleading if you don't give context. The context is way more important here than you would think, because what happened is between Elon Musk and the head guy of Mobileye had a disagreement. Elon says, hey, this thing eventually will be autonomous. And the guy from Mobileye says, hey, what we're building will never be autonomous, at least not in our lifetime. This is always going to be a driver assist system. They had this clash in where the development is supposed to go, and they split up because they saw different visions. There were no safety issues or concerns or accidents. It's absolutely a different vision for the system. And so far, with FSD Beta versus the Mobileye system, it seems that Elon had a good point. In fact, when they split up, this is what Amnon Shashua, the head guy of Mobileye, said. No matter how you spin it, autopilot is not designed for that. It is a driver assistance system and not a driverless system. Simple.
But full self-driving didn't exactly mean full self-driving.
And yes, in this part, they're talking about how FSD, the full self-driving, is not really full self-driving. Well, nobody is buying this feature because they think the car is autonomous. I would struggle to find any purchaser of Tesla who purchased this assuming he's getting an autonomous system. Full self-driving does not mean autonomous self-driving. It's different things. Yes, it's not perfect. Yes, it's work in progress. Yes, it has to get a lot better. But nobody's getting fooled here. And trust me, having driven other cars, Tesla's driver assist systems, starting from the autopilot on all the way to the FSD Beta, from what I've seen from my friends, is top-notch and unrivaled by any of the other car manufacturers, including some of the guys who worked with them in 2016.
For the better part of a decade now, it's sold consumers on the promise, failed to deliver, made new promises, failed to deliver, and repeat and repeat and repeat. The company has burned through its most promising customer base, existing owners. The reputation Tesla has earned as a company whose word means nothing has to have an impact.
Now, this segment is very strange because it has a lot of assumptions, and when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me, but mainly because there's actual hard data that proves what they just said in the segment is absolute horse manure. They're saying that people are getting disgruntled because they're not getting the FSD they were promised, and that's why they're quitting Tesla, the brand loyalty, etc., etc. But there's literally a study by S&P Global, and in that study, they found out that Tesla from 2021 to 2022 doubled its brand loyalty from 30% to 63%. In fact, that 63% ranks it as the highest brand loyalty auto manufacturer in the world out of every single other auto manufacturer in the world. So not only that Tesla clients are leaving or disgruntled, they literally have the best brand loyalty in the freaking world. How could you have not seen this research?
While Musk might have been the visionary behind the disruptive behemoth, today he's a liability.
Now, this part is a little bit strange because for a research-based channel that does research-based content, for them to go ad hominem like this at Elon, the personal attack, is very weird. Calling him a liability. Now, look, I may not agree with everything he says or does, but calling this dude a liability, the guy who have built Tesla from the ground up, that took it from nothing into 2 million cars next year with mountains of cash, with massive growth, global adoption, the guy who's changed the auto industry, I don't know if I can agree with that. It just sounds like a very personal thing to say about somebody who has achieved a hell of a lot.
Tesla's competitive advantage was built on scarcity. For most of their history, they were the only legitimate horse in the EV race.
They're claiming that the only advantage for Tesla, the only moat, is the scarcity. And once the scarcity is gone, when there's more competition, then Tesla doesn't have an edge versus the other EVs in the market. To me, that's a little bit strange because you have absolutely ignored the supercharger network with 40,000 chargers and 1,800 stations. And I know you know of its existence because 2 years ago, you made a video saying that the supercharger network will never be enough to support EV adoption. Now, ever since your video, the network has doubled in size and definitely proven that it's more than capable to do so. But somehow, to absolutely never mention the supercharger network as far as moats and an edge? Yikes!
Meanwhile, Ford, GM, Volkswagen, Rivian, and others are acting as the adults in the room.
Now I can live with these guys not mentioning the supercharger network, but calling Ford and GM the responsible adults in the room? The companies that have $100 billion in debt each, but hold on about the debt. That has nothing to do with what he's talking about. Ford and GM, let's look at the numbers. Ford and GM combined sold 100,000 electric vehicles in 2022. That's literally what Tesla does in the weekend. Not in the weekend, in a month. Okay, whatever. I know. I get it. So they sold 100,000 combined. Tesla sells 1.3 million, has the best brand loyalty in the business, and somehow these guys are the responsible adults in the room? Now, talking about VW, that's a whole different discussion. Yes, VW is definitely way better positioned, and they did sell over 550,000 vehicles in 2022, electric vehicles. But guess what? In Germany, there's a whole new thing coming up. The German factory is actually starting to ramp up. In January, Tesla sales in Germany shot up by 903%.
Tesla's Fumble is what it could have been.
Now let's see exactly how Tesla fumbled its future. Now we're talking about a company that's sitting on a pile of cash, no debt, 50% annual growth. They went from 280,000 cars in 2018 to 2 million cars this year. They'll make 2 million cars this year based on Q4 numbers. They have the best margins in the business, better than Toyota. And we haven't even talked about the Cybercar coming out, the $25,000 car coming out. We haven't talked about AI. We haven't talked about energy. None of these things. So how exactly have Tesla fumbled its future? I mean, my guy, how much faster and better would you expect Tesla to do from 2018 to 2023? I mean, I don't understand this point, and I'm really trying.
They could have been a giant. They could have been Ford, GM, and Chrysler. So if, in 10 years, Tesla is anything but the biggest car manufacturer in America, the explanation will likely be less about what it does over the next decade and more about what it didn't do.
Oh, come on, give me a break. If in 10 years Grandpa doesn't have balls, he'll be Grandma. Come on. Now, for me, the hardest part about this video was reading the pinned comment they left, basically saying, well, we know the Tesla cult will come for us because we criticize Tesla. No, that's not the case. I'm coming for you, and a lot of people are coming for you because you put out lazy, half-ass research with absolutely no objectivity to prove a point, to shoehorn your point into a reality that doesn't fit what you're claiming. Now, if you have done this video about VW or Alibaba or AT&T, the result would have been the same. Yes, it gets more clout because it's Tesla, but it's not because it's a cult. It's because your video is riddled with inaccuracies, unprofessional research, and absolute horse manure of information to try and make your point even better. You could have made an absolutely balanced video critiquing Tesla on the issues that it does have, which might be quality, which might be service, aftermarket, which might be Elon personally being polarizing. All of this could have been made in a better way without you going all in and pushing it all the way in just to show how bad Tesla is. I was disappointed. I'm not going to stop watching this channel. I think this channel puts out great content. I think this is a one-off, and I wish this video would not have been done. I definitely do not want you to go there and leave hate on their video. By no means, do not do it. We're not looking for drama. But I want you to send this video to anybody who sends you the Wendover Productions video saying, hey, look at Tesla, it's so bad. Send them my video and then go have a chat with them. And by the way, this video took a long ass time to make. If by any chance you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, I'd really appreciate it. If you can, on your way out, just slap the like button a little bit. I hate asking. Yeah, a little bit cringed out, but hey, it's YouTube. We're playing the algorithm game. Thank you so much. We'll see you in the next video.